Hello everyone, my name is David and for today I'll be taking us through the Battle Draft. This is a new game that sofascore has put up, and the aim of this video is to show you how guys you can continue pushing up the ranks in that game and get all the way to the top of the leagues. So the reason why I'm doing this video is because I've seen a lot of people who get past the budget of 580 and get it to the budget of 700, but do not most of the time make it past the 200 points. Well, after a lot of time playing the game and going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, it seemed to me like this game is a roller coaster that you never win. But actually, until I tried this method, it worked for me, and I'm more than pleased to share it with you guys. So without much ado, let's hop on into this. So if we look at how sofascore rates their players, there is one thing: they give you a budget, number two, players with different attributes. That's the attribute overview. So if we come down here to the attribute overview, we want to see one thing. Every player has the first 10 players actually, exclusive of the goalkeeper. We have the attack, we have their technicality, the attack clean, their defense, and their creativity. There is one thing that before you continue you must understand, that a team is not a matter of individual effort. It's about each and everyone's effort, contribution to the final result. So let's go back here. You see that there is attack, there is technicality, there is tackling, there is defense, and there is creativity. You must be clever enough to understand a few things. So here's a match. For you to win against your opponent, you need to at least win 3 out of the 5 attributes over your competitor. You should have more of them. So you should avoid one thing: you have too much players who are playing attack and too much players who are playing defense, and all the other attributes respectively. So the aim and the goal is to ensure that you are trying maybe to maximize on 3 areas, but if you can maximize on all 5, it's fine. But there is one thing that you must consider. You have a budget 700 and all resources are scarce. So which brings me to my next point, and that is you have to use your budget trying to obtain as much value for the lowest cost as you can. So if we look at this team, there is no player who is generally around 80. I'm not saying that you cannot win any game, any match in these areas without having such players with such attributes. But what I'm saying is that there is no need for you to have a player attribute with a rating of 90 and 100 plus, and still you have a player who has a rating of 39, and his individual contribution to the team is very limited and does not actually. The other players have to, when they rate you, the other players have to be reduced on their contribution to ensure that the other player who is very lowly rated and has a very few contribution to the team is uplinked. So you see, now the high and the down must all come down to meet at an equilibrium point. So that is one thing that you should make sure that you are understanding at all times. So let's go back here to my opponent. Actually, I am more than pleased to say to you guys that this method does not actually work when you're playing against unexperienced teams. I'm an experienced opponent, but it will work even when playing for opponents who are highly ranked, higher than you. So as you can see, I'm playing my points are 481 points, and I'm playing against Free Palestine, who is 604 points. Actually, I bet he's highly ranked more than I am. So let's now look at what did he do wrong and what did I do right. So first things first, when I look at that team, I see one thing: 4-5-1. It's not a bad thing, it's a good one. However, there is one thing that you should understand. You can either have defense tackling, either technicality or creativity. You have to choose the one thing. The same case when you choose for attack. Now, for my scenario, I like to choose attack, then I'll go for the creativity and the technicality respectively. So let's look at this guy. His defense, good defense, and tackling again. So here he chooses to change the things. Now let's look up here. He has used a very cheap player, but does he gain value? I know this question is very opinionated, because you may argue, well, he got an 82 on the attack, but did his attack really show on the graph? No, it didn't. Actually, what we see is that he has a very high tackling and defense, and yet still has a lag on creativity, but he really tries to ensure that he has technicality. Here's one thing: if I had failed by 2 points, he would have won, but I got the upper hand against him because I just got ahead of him with just 1 point. As you can see, mine is listed in green, which is 97, and his technicality is 96. So just that 1 point is enough for you to win. So you don't have to ensure that you have, let's go up here, and let's say I have 300 on the attack and my opponent has 100 on the attack. That is on the first attribute. Either way, that will still give me 1 point, which means that you will try and much as possible to have a harmonic balance in your team. Try and ensure that your teams, each individual is trying to ensure that the overall performance or the overall result is resulting to a thing. So let's go back up here. He works on defense, he works on defense, he works on defense, and he works on defense. No, sorry, he works on attacking, technicality, and creativity. Good. Let's look at the overall team. So here he seems to be measuring on technicality and creativity. Okay, that's, I bet he selected that way because he had a budget, maybe his budget was outrunning himself. Now my question comes to here. See here, he has chosen Mateo Kovacic. Good technicality, poor attacking. Yet here he goes back and maybe rethinks things through, or maybe he has run out of budget and picks attacking. Yet when we go back here at the defense, see, his attacking, technicality, and creativity is reduced. So which means all of these players, the three of them here at the defense, and inclusive of Mateo Kovacic, have reduced the attacking capability of the other higher players, the like of Phil Foden, just to mention Hudson Odoi, just to mention a few. So there is no balance. There is almost a balance in that team, but it lacks something, which is he doesn't seem to be oriented on one thing. So what would I do if I was him? That would be tricky because it will depend on how my opponent is playing. Well, one thing I know that I'll do for sure is that I'll stick to one thing that I know, and I know that attacking, creativity, and technicality, I've already understood this, and I can repeat the same process over and over and over again and getting the same results over and over repeatedly without the fear that I'll start going down the ranks. Well, you can't always have it, but you'll always have that consistency. You may even have a high number of wins, which let's say they could range from, maybe let's say you have over 10 consecutive wins, which is a good idea, and maybe you may even beat the current number one, who knows. The idea is, when you find out such a thing, try as much as possible to see whether you can cultivate on it. Try to see what you're doing wrong, what has your opponent done that, or what are you really not working on, or what are you forgetting, because this is a team effort. Remember one thing, it's a team effort. It's not about having that player who's unique by his own attributes, or tends to have a higher reputation than the others. That's not the aim of the team. So the aim of the team is to ensure that, imagine, or let's just take a possible scenario, you have Barcelona, Messi, but still we have a sluggish defense. So the sluggish defense still brings Barcelona down. Maybe arguably they are still a top team. But I want to mention something as I continue that Messi said. He said that those other teams are coming against us very easy, and they're scoring against us easy goals. So he was actually confessing that he fears that Napoli may beat them in the UEFA. Well, that is his own. That is what I quote from what he said. Well, um, here is what you can learn from that. It's not always about him. It's always about the team. How much is the total contribution overall? Well, since that is the reality now, here we have a virtual game. I don't see how different this might be from the real scenario, because these are all individuals who are contributing. Now let's look at this team, because we have already seen that he tends to concentrate too much on one attribute, as you can see. Then he goes back, and I bet if he had rebudgeted on his attack, I'm pretty sure he would have won already this match. But I guess that is what gave me the chance against him. But I'll show you that when I play against other opponents, it will work. But I wanna always mention this. Maybe I will term it as a disclaimer and say that you will not always have every win on your way, but you will have a consistency which will ensure that you are progressive. Your progress is there, and it's happening time in and time out. So let's look at this time. See, like I said previously, I like to focus on the attack, technicality, and creativity. So you see, I've sacrificed tackling and defense, the same case. Oh, here it happened by that the budget allowed for me to choose between attack, technicality, and creativity. Same case for Suso, Marco. So here I sacrificed attack because I knew that I could select. I have a player who has attacking of 80, so when I choose a 61, the two will add. You add the two, then you divide by 2. Then you see that you have a 70, a 69 there. If you take that, the case of Suso and Marco, and then that is for the attributes on the attack. So one thing we must focus on and ensure is that you are trying to, as much as possible, to have that team that is balanced. Number 2, your budget is limited, so try to find as much value as possible. Then when most of the time you might see that you select players and you have value, and then you are left with over 20, is it million or what? Is it? Yeah, I think something of a sort. I think it's 20 million. Then from there you see that that too much cash then is what you use to uplift those players that you feel that are too low, or you see that if I purchase a certain player and a certain player, their contribution will be an addition to the team, which will lead to better results. So as I continue, see and look, and as I've shown around the team, the aspect is still the same. So what I've done for myself, I always tend to sacrifice those 2 attributes that I know that I don't really wanna touch, but I wanna focus on these 3 areas. Sometimes you may run into luck and find a player who's playing the same technique you are. Then that's when moment that it depends on whose side nature, mother nature maybe, or who's the lucky one. Okay, so well, I don't really like touch on the goalkeeper much, because I tried to make it as low budget as for him as much as possible. Well, I don't know how much the goalkeeper contributes to the overall team effect, but I know that the first 10 players will have an impactful result on when you take all of them and then you divide by 11 or 10 or whatever. I don't know, I'm not sure of how sofascore rates, but I have seen that there is one thing that seems to be consistent, that when you have a team that seems to be working averagely, you will always have results that seem to be progressive. So I want to play a quick match, but before I get into a match and show you how I will win the next match, I want to touch on the one last thing that includes, that is making your captain and marking the other opponents. So In this case, I marked this up. I marked Chimi Avila. Well, this is not what he had here, because obviously, as you can see, he has substituted. Well, which players do you want to mark? I don't really mark for the players who tend to have the highest value, but I mark those players who seem to be against what I'm standing for. For instance, if I'm starting for my stands at, I'm choosing for technicality, creativity, and technicality, then any player who seems to have similar contributions to my team then is worth marking. So for instance, here is Phil Foden. Phil Foden makes a good candidate to mark. Here's another good candidate to mark. The same case here. So you want to try and ensure you are marking that opponent who is really against your team. So what it would be worthless for me to mark the likes of Thiago Silva, even if he had a defender who's highly valued and my attributes stand at attack, technicality, and creativity. Well, his concept is differently placed, so even if I mark him, sofascore will reduce his attributes obviously, but that will not be helpful for me, because already he has more defense. So that's why I had previously, I think he had chosen, I'm not so sure, but I remember he had chosen a player whose technicality and creativity were high. So I really tried as much as possible to ensure that I'm marking that player, because so that his attributes may be reduced and give an advantage to my team. So same case, look at him. He marked Suso. So for me, I didn't substitute anybody. So sorry, I made my captain as Suso. So which means his attacking, his technicality, and his creativity were appealing to me, and that's what I saw, that if I make him my captain, then I feel that his properties will go high on a higher scale. Now for him, he marked this player. Well, I judge he marked him that way because he's the player with the highest value. But for me, value is not in the amount. Value is in what is the overall contribution of that player to a team. So always change your mentality and ensure that you're trying to see that player's effort, is it really contributing to what you're standing for. Well, I've done too much talking, so I want to play another match and take you guys around. Let's play a new match and see. Hmm. 156. My biggest bet and hunch on this guy is that this is a new person who has just gotten promoted, and I'm really looking forward to see what he will select. But the biggest odds and what I'm really thinking is that he's likely to choose a very high defense, then he'll forget about the other attributes. So go back here and select creativity. Well, some of you may ask, why am I dwelling too much on creativity? Here's an issue. I've seen a lot of people who, even if they choose, creativity seems to be the most abundant resource in this. So not most players tend to have a slow attack, but their creativity most of the time is high. Even look at Joshua Kimmich. Good tackling, excellent creativity, well, a good technicality, and his attack can do something. So if you go back, compare technicality and creativity, that's when you'll notice that technicality is not so abundant as creativity. So you want to try and ensure that you are trying to counter your teams as much as possible. And then if you look at what I'm doing, is that, let's say in this scenario, I'll try and go for a good technicality. So technicality which is not too much of a 70, neither too low. But when they are too low and the budget is okay and it feels appealing to me, I'll go for them. So I'll go for that player, Manuel. I go for technicality, so here I'm thinking to go with something around 70. So it's Mane Dembele. Good. See, we have already a budget of 147, which makes me I can choose players above the attributes of 70, maybe 70 and 77, who knows. So okay, let's see, who do we have here? We have Christopher Nkuku. Good. And lastly I can select, I'll go with Mane, and I'll say where I've chosen Mane. See, overall already I've been left with too much budget of 6.3 m. Well, I think I can improve on attributes, but anyway, let's see what we can do here. 62. Okay, let's see, 62.4 m. 62.4 m. Okay, 56.1. Okay, I'll go with that. I feel pleased, Plaza, to try and show that it's not about the money, it's about the value and the individual contributions of players to a team. So let's see what he has selected. Okay, so when the moment I see this doesn't bother me, because I know that all of these players will have to make up for the low attack, the low technicality, and the low creativity. Same case for here and the same case for here, even if he has excellent defense and tackling. So what I would do this, if I was this player, I would substitute Mane and I would substitute Mohamed Salah and Duvan. And what I would try to do is ensure that I have players whose technicality and whose creativity are okay. So I see that he's done, so let me join, and let's see the final results, how they'll turn out. And mark, and well, let me make, okay, since this is too okay, yes, I'm feeling confident to make Ousmane Dembele the captain, and let's see the final results. The moment of truth. Okay, good. This method is so easy that I don't see anything new to learn. See, well, attacking, he has a 93, I have a 95. Even if he had a 94, then it would still give me a chance to win it, so which is okay. Now try not to have too much of one attribute and then too less of the other attribute. But if you choose, let's say, like, you want to go for the defense, we have good players who you have to try and see that let's say, I hope he has a good practical scenario. Good. Okay, we have a good scenario here. Diot or what? Okay, it depends on how your tongue is, but let's have a look at Diot. His technicality, his tackling, and his defense, good. Well, their technicality, their creativity is low, but here's his mistake. Here's another mistake. This is not an entire mistake, but it's a contributing factor. 22, 83, 90. This makes me sad, and this is why it makes me sad. He has a defense of 90 on one player, and his overall defense is just 73. That should ring a bell into your mind and tell you something. Hey, one player does not mean that you will always have it. So I hope that the next match maybe may sound perfect for you. So if you feel that you are ready to go and try this method, please go and try ahead, and let me see, tell me how do you think it works. Then the last advice I can say is this: when you play against bigger opponents, or who are who seem to be high on the ranks, try and see as much as possible what is it that they are doing that you are not doing. So let's just do another match just to see whether we have consistency. Oh, 438. Wow. Again, budget. Firmino. sake. $60.5, 67, 62, 64.6. The goalkeeper. For the technicality, wow, look at this. We have a player 67, that is 82, 70, 79. Okay. 59. No way. Okay, 159, so that puts me around 70 over 70. Okay, so let's pick one. 88. I don't wanna go for 88. 82. 79. Is stuck. No. Bad. Okay. Okay. 70. Okay, so if we can get to 70.7 is also another. Already I've spotted another mistake in this team. Look at this. Defense. Well, he really trying to average the team. Okay. Then 39. These players will resort to trouble. Very much trouble. But look at what he's doing. He's really trying to give too much into one aspect. Even Duvan. Well, he might win against me on attacking already. I can just have a sense about it. But his technicality, his creativity will be down. Maybe I can already see that his tackling and his defense is already good. But there is something lucky from that team. And that is uniformity. So I'll just mark. I'm really looking forward to see whether he'll change his players. And let's see. No. Good. So let's go. The results should be here in a minute. So here I lose. Just as I had predicted, his attacking is too high. Well, it's fine. Remember, winning, consistency. I may lose this one, but I know I'll come back in the next one. Well, he did substitute. Let's see what substitution he made. Defense. No, sorry, that is his captain. So he substituted into defense. And he tried to increase his attack. Well, clever thought. Lewandowski in the same case. I can't much argue because I feel like he did his effort and his effort gave him that result. So anyway, I'll continue playing the game maybe of the video, but I hope by this point that I've tried to explain a concept, and I hope that you'll find it interesting and it will help you make it past those stumbling blocks that we come across each and every time when you play this game and you get into a new league and you're excited, but you face the same challenge. You think that you have practiced enough and it still repeats itself, and the cycle keeps on going. So this with this, I have hoped that I've tried as much as possible to ensure that I've explained it to you guys. So watching this video, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.